Okay, all those that will or can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Except for Mr. Salvia, present at the moment. He will be here just a little bit late. Hello, hello. Justin, can you hear me?
How about now?
Yes, you're a little lighter than normal, but I can hear you.
All right.
Turn that. Is that any better?
You've been fine the whole time. Tammy was just a little soft. Tammy,
Hello.
that's better. Thank you.
Okay. Can anybody hear anymore? Do we need these things? All right. Did we get the roll call or not? All right, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
I would move to approve the agenda as presented.
Who's turning that? Something. Okay, moved and supported. Vote please. What's going on?
Mr. Howe, Mrs. Cooper, Mrs. Frederick.
Frederick, yeah.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia is not here. Mrs. Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, consent agenda approval. Motion, please. Okay, moved and supported. Vote please.
Mrs. Cooper, Miss Frederick.
Frederick, yeah.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia is not here. Mrs. Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe.
Yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
You have to, or nobody can hear you.
Hello.
Okay. Whew. Scared to even talk in these things. Okay, announcements. This coming Saturday, we're gonna stick our fingers into a invasive plant removal workday at Hickory Ridge Pines Park. And that'll be Saturday, April 6th at 10 a.m. Bring gloves and pruners and whatever you can to be able to prune and whack on some stuff. Preferably not chainsaws because we have to be careful with those, but and then Duck Lake Pines Park Earth Day cleanup project will be April 20th at 3:30 p.m. And then the prayer breakfast is going to be on Thursday, May 2nd for National Day of Prayer. And that's going to be where? At Thrive on Livingston Road.
Where do we get tickets? Tickets are available on the Highland and White Lake Business Association website. They're $15 this year, and if there's any money left, it goes to community sharing. And all are welcome to that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item is public comment. Do we have anybody who'd like to speak? No? All right, then we'll move on. Okay, the first item here, number 8, is a public hearing. So at 6:34, I'm opening the public hearing on reprogramming of 2022 and 2023 community development block grant funding. So anybody in the public can make a comment, or if they have questions. That's a long one. Okay, so no questions or comments. So we'll close the public hearing at 6:35. And we'll move on to new business, which the first item is A, is reprogramming of the 2022-2023 Community Development Block Grant. Let me funding, so now I lost all my stuff here. It's on page. Okay, there we go. So I have to admit that I had a ghostwriter for this. It's my assistant Cassie, and she did a great job on it. She's also the one that's handling this. So I'm recommending reprogramming the 2022-2023 Community Development Block Grant funding. The original allocation was for demolition of the house on 146 John and for a septic system at the Steeple Hall. Both the projects, I don't know why, but CDBG group, I think kind of led us to believe that we could make this happen, and then threw a whole bunch of kickers in the middle of it that made it undoable. So in light of that, we'll handle that stuff at a later date. We're still working on it. We paid for the demolition anyways. I can tell you why, but it's not necessary at this point. So in the light of that, I propose reallocating the funds towards a project that promises to enhance facilities and services offered by our community, specifically suggesting that we allocate the funds for the installation of new interior accordion partition doors and window treatments at the Activity Center located at 209 North John Street. At present, the Activity Center relies on makeshift solutions such as tablecloths for privacy and inoperable window treatments for light control. Moreover, the current accordion partition door is deteriorating. It's actually starting to come off the ceiling. It's just wore out because I think that was built in the 85 or 6. So it's got a couple years and a few thousand slides in like a trombone in and out. So by investing in these upgrades, we can significantly improve the functionality and aesthetics of the Activity Center, which will enhance the overall experience for residents and visitors. I've already obtained quotes for both projects to facilitate budgeting and ensure efficient utilization of the allocated funds. I believe that directing these CDBG funding towards the endeavor aligns with our long-term township improvement program and will yield tangible benefits for the community. So on that note, I'm looking for a motion to approve reprogramming.
I would move to approve reprogramming for the CDBG as proposed. For the for improvements to the senior center, for the activity center, excuse me. For window coverings and the can't talk. Sliding wall. Thank you.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote please, or if you have questions, anybody have any questions? Discussion, all right. Vote please.
Mrs. Frederick,
Yes.
Mrs. Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
All right, the next item is resolution number 24-11 to approve police services millage renewal ballot language. I wish I could get this up on the screen, but it's like
I
not
would move to
cooperating.
approve resolution 24-11 to approve the police services millage renewal ballot language.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any discussion?
For public education, it's a 6-year renewal, no increase. This millage is subject to the Headley rollback. So it's just kind of maintaining steady funding, no increase for that.
All right.
Question. Guess this
Yes.
goes to Matt. Is that what we need? Is that good? Are we, I mean, I can always use more, I'm sure, but yeah, I ran some.
If that's all the questions, then we'll move forward with a vote.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mrs. Lewis.
Lewis, yeah.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
This is going to be a good one. All right. Next item. Resolution number 24-12, surplus property, South Bay Shores. Okay, this one I can pull this up. If you go in off of Wardlow Road into South Bay Shores, this is the second lot on the right. Be on the east side. It used to be the well house for the subdivision, and it was part of our water system, and it proved to be inadequate, so and unnecessary. So it was removed from the site, and so the land is currently owned by the township. It's not really buildable at this point in time. I mean, there's some parameters that are required to be kept open right now. There was a request from the subdivision to purchase the parcel. And what we're doing right now is just making the parcel available by declaring it surplus. And at a point where it's made clear enough that it can be done and what format it can be handled at and what restrictions would be on it. It'll just sit vacant as a surplus land, but in order to sell it or even to negotiate with it, we need to declare it surplus. So would somebody like to make a motion on this?
I move to approve resolution 24-12 surplus property, South Bay Shores. Support.
Any discussion on this? Okay. This is going to be one of our worst recorded meetings. All right, then vote please.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Miss Frederick,
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia is not here, sorry. Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
I know, sorry.
Okay, so the next item is microphone.
The draft resolution that's on your agenda has Mr. Salvias present. I'm sure that it would have been caught, but just as a reminder.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next item is resolution 24-13, another parcel of property for to be declared surplus. And that's what we call Gateway Park. It's at the corner of M59. And it's where the train station is right now. So there we go. How'd that come up there? Whatever. So the gotta get to that one. Right, what is proposed there, and this is another reason that we need to declare it surplus, is there is some proposal for some development on that whole parcel of property where the old lumberyard was. It's all owned by one individual now, with the exclusion of a little tiny triangle that, let's see if I can bring that up. So it's so what appears to be this whole corner, in reality, if you can see the mouse there, the state owns everything to the right of the mouse. And this small triangle right here that the train station sits on is owned by the township. And this is considered a clear line of sight that the state required. Now, the developer, with good reason, needs the space to be able to make traffic flow work appropriately on that parcel. The board has already discussed this process and said that we were willing to do some exchange or whatever for the parcel. Nothing's in final writing at this point, but in order to carry the transaction forward or the process forward, we need to declare the parcel surplus, and then we'll get the details as the development goes forward. So the owner of the property and the people who want to develop it, that parcel is like a key piece. And so nobody can move forward until they know that it's actually available. So right now it's not really available till we declare it surplus. So on that, get a motion to declare it surplus.
I have a correction to the resolution first. Under the first whereas, it says the Township of Highland owns property located adjacent to City Hall.
That's an old version.
Okay.
It's passed out here.
Okay. I would move to approve resolution 24-13 declaring Gateway Park surplus property.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any discussion on that? All right, vote please.
I had a question. So our parcel is mostly unbuildable, correct? And I understand you can't put a driveway through there either. Can it to go on? There's no egress allowed on there through that parcel onto the
No.
road.
No, the driveway that goes into the former auto parts store is as close as you can get to MDOT property there.
I can't really, I'm waiting to see the plan before I can support it. I don't really understand why they need it if they can't build on it and they can't drive through it.
They can drive on it. They can use the property. Where's the mouse? They can't access
Uh-huh.
this way or this way. But what happens is this building and these buildings are right on the MDOT right of way. And when they tear those down, those structures will have to go back further. And then that's where that triangle comes into play. So this structure is right in what would be pathway that, so if somebody came in and they wanted to go around the front of the building, they would be able to go past the front of the building this way. Or they could come in over here off of John Street and come around and go this way and then go back out. And that would allow for more efficient use of the rest of the space for their facility.
It'll,
Okay. So the other side of it is if they don't have it, they don't build it. So it's kind of it's not that they're holding us hostage, but we're kind of holding them hostage at the same time if we don't sell it to them. So, all right. Any other discussion? Okay. Somebody second it. Move it. Okay. And vote, please.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Miss Frederick,
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes no, Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
All right. The next item is Duck Lake Pine site improvements. Put maps away. Whoop. Okay, so today in the audience, I have Gary Wellbaum. He's the new league president. Gary, you want to stand up, please? Like to, oh, you don't have to come up right now, and we'll just, if I need you to talk, then we can, well, come on up. I mean, I'm not going to turn that microphone on because I'm afraid what's going to do. So, Gary has taken on a daunting task, and I don't know if anybody knows, but the baseball league has had a hard time. And a lot of it has to do with some issues that occurred a number of years ago where some money didn't go where it was supposed to go. And some of the kids, you know, the cost was getting extravagant to the point where it was hard for some of the kids that really wanted to play to be able to play. And so things have, and with the advent of Huron Valley's athletic thing up there by the high school, they do baseball, and you know, so a lot of this stuff has changed over the years. And the one thing that has kind of stayed the same is our Huron Valley baseball softball league. Does that say softball league? And it needs help, and the help is that it's expensive for them to try and make things work there. And so along came Gary, who decided to step up and be the league president. And he's really kind of taken the bull by the horns, and he wants to see this thing succeed. And he's come up with some ideas in the packet. You'll see that he put together some things. So he came to me and he wanted to do some dugout covers, which are really kind of critical for these kids when they're sitting there on a hot day waiting to play baseball and they're cooking without anything over their heads. This has been something that's been attempted to happen. I think they put some tarps over it last time and those things all blew off. So Gary took the time to draw up some plans. This is, if you see the yellow items, those are the dugouts that he'd like that we need for each field. He went through the process of determining materials that he would need to build them. These are the spaces that exist. There's already concrete poured out. All of them have concrete, don't they? Yeah. And there's some steel piping there now, and you can kind of see some of the conduit or whatever they used over the top to put it. So this is an image of a proposal right there. So he went through the process to determine all the materials he needed. He went out and got some quotes, 3 different quotes and the assumption is that the baseball league would build these things. And I'm assuming you were going to try and fundraise for them too, but we just spent a boatload of money on some pickleball courts and the basketball courts. And we need to spend some money on baseball. And before the baseball league, they would take the money that they got from donations and they would pay to mow the grass and do all that stuff. And it is a daunting task to get that done and have any money left to be able to make the thing successful. So we need to help the baseball league, which has been a stalwart group since I was a kid. And so the recommendation is a long time ago. Yeah. So anyways, came up with 3 different quotes, and essentially where we landed was estimated cost for materials would be somewhere around $11,000 to $12,000. And then we got talking about trying to get to this other piece here. We got talking about the maintenance of the lawns and reconditioning the infields and this is where the township needs to pay attention. So right now they're inappropriately being used as dog runs, and it's kind of hard on the kids. Right now, I don't know if there's any Easter eggs left in there, but it's inappropriate to have the dogs running in there and making a mess and then not cleaning it up. And then the kids get to slip and slide in them. And so what I put together is, with Gary's help, is to try and look and say, okay, what would this possibly cost this year to start getting these fields in better condition, including covering the cost of materials. And this is with the baseball guys using some kind of like we've done with the skate park. You know, you've got the people using it are doing the volunteer labor to put it together. And I think, of course, you have to look at it from the standpoint of we'll have to have the building official approve drawings and make sure that everything's up to snuff. But I know that there's plenty of people out there that have the skill sets to do a job like that that's not very complicated. So the idea is to kind of work like we did with the skate park in terms of they funded themselves, but you guys are funding yourselves, but not, I want you to be successful. And I think we all do. So I want to propose that we spend not to exceed $25,000 at this time to make these improvements, capital improvements at the park for the baseball, not for any other purpose but the baseball. So that's my.
Can I ask that we approve the quote for the materials, select a vendor and approve that? And then as you go, if there's any items that would exceed,
Normal purchase. Policy.
normal purchase policy, we would approve those one at a time.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure how to present this. I mean, I tried looking at a block amount of money and I know you guys probably know that I can look at stuff and know what it's going to cost, but that's not, verification. So we need to make sure of that. So
are we thinking it's 11,000 plus
I would say just
$12,000
$12,000.
or
Approve.
15? I mean, I don't know. Do you need any wiggle room in the?
There's another element to this. One of the things I'd like to do is you notice that there's Lowe's and Home Depot in there. And I think what we need to do is we need to pay attention to our own local businesses. And Iverson's is a key business in our community. And I think that I'd like to approve that, we work with Iverson's just like I do when I work on the chill at the mill.
Well, it looks
So,
like they have a,
good quote. Yeah.
a good quote.
And they've been competitive with, yes. And we can do that in pieces, they're not going to be $5,000 worth of paint in there. Might be, and you might even get that donated. I mean, so we have to, and that's one of the things we'll do, work together to try and find those donations, that additional donations, and make that work for you too. So, say 15,000 and 10,000.
And they don't have paint.
Oh,
Right.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Oh,
But that's another element that we can separate out. So let's do Iverson's and say not to exceed 12,000.
I move to approve funds from capital improvement to improve the baseball fields at Duck Lake Pines Park, not to exceed $12,000.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Oh, it's yes. And I just want to say my kids played in that league. This is long overdue. So this is I know, and the tarps were, I'm done, but the tarps were, at least it was something, that was nice. And now it's going to be, structure will be great. So this is awesome. Thanks.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
So what we'll do on the remainder as we move along towards these parts and pieces, we'll stay within the purchasing policy, which will allow us to address those. If we need to come back because something's going to cost $10,000 or whatever, then we can come back to the board in advance with quotes on that. And we set aside a significant amount of money for that park in capital improvements. So that's where it's going to come from anyway. So this is a good start. Well, you're welcome. All right. Thank you, Gary. Okay. She's been waiting forever. So the next item is seasonal, I gotta get to you. I don't have to, but I need to. So, we went to the activity center. We have a new hire that we're proposing. We went through the process for interviews. We have a candidate who's here in the audience, Ashley Valdez. Ashley, you want to stand up? You don't have to, but she came in smiling to the point where I'm wow, she really wants to do this job, and she does. She really, I think the interview was awesome, and I'm really glad you were able to come forward on this. So the starting date would be April 2nd. So you can sit back down there. Sorry. Starting hourly wage will be $17.94. Grade assistant will be number 1, entry level, classification part-time, seasonal, and maximum hours up to 29 per week, maximum of $12.50 per year. Position title will be part-time floating activity center administrative assistant. Put that on a business card. It'll float right off it. It'll go. No budget amendment needed. Background check was completed and approved. And we used the website, e-sign, Indeed, and social media. So Somebody like to make a motion?
I would move to approve Ashley Valdez as the part-time floating activity center administrative assistant for up to 29 hours a week for a starting wage of $17.94, beginning April 2nd.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote please.
Ms. Frederick,
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
All right. All right, next item is, are we gonna be able to do this? This just has to be the existing.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, okay. All right, so, I'd like to make a motion, to go into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268(1)(e) to discuss settlement strategy in Scott Rhodes versus Charter Township of Highland. Open discussion of which would, I don't need to read that part. Can't say they have a detrimental effect, but, anyways, that's motion, go into closed session.
Cooper, support.
Okay, vote please.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Ms. Frederick.
Yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so we're going to, all right, I made the mistake of not turning the recording on. And, the board came out of closed session, made the decision to decline the settlement, offer from Scott Rhodes versus Charter Township of Highland. Meeting adjourned.